The hidden ancient teachings of Jesus, banned from the Bible, reveal shocking secrets of humanity. There are various teachings of Jesus banned or removed from the Bible, showcasing humanity's terrifying secrets. Hello, and welcome back to the Abandoned Archaeologist again, the channel to learn all about ancient archaeological findings. Today, we will discuss the forbidden and secret teachings of Jesus, explaining powerful things that were removed from the Bible. But before we begin, to get your attention, we have a question you can answer at the end of the video by watching it. Why were Jesus' teachings so memorable? So, write down your answer in the comment section and see if you got it right. Here we begin. The Gospel of Thomas is a gospel of extra-canonical sayings. It was discovered in December 1945 near Nag Hammadi, Egypt, among a collection of books known as the Nag Hammadi Library. Scholars believe the works were buried in response to Bishop Athanasius' letter declaring a strict canon of Christian scripture. Scholars have proposed composition dates ranging from 60 AD to 250 AD. Since its discovery, many scholars have viewed it as evidence in favour of a Q source, which could have taken the form of a collection of Jesus' sayings without any accounts of his deeds or life and death, referred to as a sayings gospel. The Coptic language text, the 2 of 7 in what modern scholars call the Nag Hammadi Codex II, contains 114 sayings attributed to Jesus. Almost 2/3 of these sayings are similar to those found in the canonical Gospels, and its Editio Princeps contains more than 80% of parallels. In contrast, the remaining sayings are thought to have been added from the Gnostic tradition. Its origins could have been in Syria, where Thomasine traditions were strong. However, others have proposed an Alexandrian origin. The introduction says, "These are the hidden words that Jesus spoke, and Didymus Judas Thomas wrote them down." Didymus and Thomas both mean twin. Unfortunately, modern scholars do not believe this document was written by the Apostle Thomas, and the author is unknown. The tone and structure of the Gospel of Thomas differ greatly from that of the other New Testament Apocrypha and the 4 canonical Gospels. It is not a narrative account of Jesus' life, as are the canonical Gospels. Instead, it consists of logic attributed to Jesus, sometimes embedded in short dialogues or parables, sometimes standalone. 13 of its 16 parables are also found in the Synoptic Gospels. The text contains a possible allusion to Jesus' death in Logian 65, parable of the wicked tenants, paralleled in the Synoptic Gospels. But it does not mention his crucifixion, resurrection, or final judgment. It also does not mention a messianic understanding of Jesus. Origen condemned a book titled Gospel of Thomas as heretical. However, it is unclear whether he was referring to the same Gospel of Thomas, as he could have meant the infancy Gospel of Thomas. Jesus said, "Whoever discovers the interpretation of these sayings will not taste death." The text's free-for-all nature is one of the Gospel of Thomas's distinguishing features. The author encourages his readers to search for the meaning of Jesus' sayings and complete his thoughts after him. It should be noted, however, that the grammatical structure of the first saying in the Gospel appears to contradict the open invitation to interpret. "And he said, whoever discovered the interpretation of these sayings will not taste death," the first saying goes. The word "the" implies that, contrary to popular belief, there is only one correct interpretation of the text. The first obvious parallel between the Gospel of Thomas and the Synoptic Gospels occurs in the 4th saying of the text. Jesus says that a person old in days will not pause to inquire about the place of life of a 7-day-old child. But, he continues, "For many of the first will be the last, and will become a single one." In this case, the author echoed the sentiment, "the first will be last," and said they would become a single unit. There are numerous interpretations of this passage, and none are correct. Why were Jesus' teachings memorable? Jesus was well known for his teachings due to the methods he employed and the message he preached. Throughout his teaching ministry, Jesus employed various techniques to make his messages memorable, as well as understandable and provocative. Many well-known methods of his time were included, as well as qualities that we are still familiar with: poetry, exaggeration, proverbs, parables, riddles, similes, and paradoxes. Jesus was popular for his ability to instruct, but on the other hand, the people recognized Jesus as a divinely sent teacher. Jesus, like other teachers, had disciples, announced divine commands, backed up his teaching with scripture, was questioned about legal disputes, and used multiple techniques to make his teaching more memorable. What distinguished Jesus' teaching was what he taught and how he taught it. He used poetry. Most of Jesus' poetry contains parallelism, with approximately 200 examples in the Gospels. Parallelism is classified into 4 types: synonymous, antithetical, step or climatic, and chiastic. A subsequent line or lines expresses a similar or synonymous thought to the previous line in synonymous parallelism. While the second and third lines are nearly synonymous, they can clarify or intensify the first. The second line in antithetical parallelism contrasts with the first line. With nearly 140 instances, this is the most common type of parallelism in Jesus' teaching. The second line in step or climactic parallelism continues and advances the thought of the first line. In Jesus' teaching, there are approximately 20 examples of this parallelism. Finally, chiastic parallelism entails inverting parallel statements: A, B, B1, A1. In the Gospels, there are 16 instances of this type of parallelism. Exaggeration. Exaggeration can be harmful if used deceptively, especially when the listener is not expecting it. Exaggerated language, on the other hand, can be a powerful tool in ethical teachings, leaving an indelible impression on the listener. Exaggerated language is classified into 2 types: overstatement and hyperbole. An overstatement is a statement that is possible, but not intended, to complete. Hyperbole is an exaggerated statement that is impossible to complete. An exaggeration is a powerful form of communication because it captures the listener's attention. It also conveys the gravity of a situation. For example, if removing an eye will help you avoid hell, it is worthwhile to do so. Proverbs. Jesus makes use of proverbial statements as well. Such statements are not absolutes, but rather general principles. For all who take the sword will be perished by the sword, Jesus says. Matt 26:52. Exceptions are not provided, as is the case with a proverb. Jesus' statement does not imply that all who fight with swords will perish at the hands of a sword. Rather, the meaning is that those who are used to fighting with swords are more likely to be killed by a sword. As a result, a person who understands the proverb's veracity will do well to follow its advice. The parable is perhaps Jesus' most well-known teaching method, accounting for roughly 1/3 of all his teaching. Jesus tells at least 50 different parables in the Gospels. Unfortunately, the parables are among Jesus' most beloved teachings and his most misunderstood teachings. A parable, by definition, involves a comparison. The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field, for example, Matthew 13:44. As a result, the kingdom of heaven is likened to a treasure. Such parables are relatively simple to understand because the point of comparison is usually highlighted in the parable itself. What do you think of it? Also, the answer to our question is that Jesus' teaching was unique because of how he taught and what he taught. Subscribe for more.